Awesome. Good morning, KW Milwaukee. Hope everyone is doing fantastic. It feels like we all live in Portland the last 2 weeks. But hopefully everybody's off to a great start in October and they took advantage of an incredible September. Some of the things that I'm going to go through today, Lindsay has some incredible tools as we've talked about fall cleanup, has an incredible tool to help you clean up your database and get contacts out of your phone and into Command. So she'll go into that. Joan has some compliance updates. There's some new forms that are mandated by the state that are super important that the group pays attention to. And then finally, I'm going to wrap it up with some high level insights into September because the September data came out last week. And we didn't have a team meeting last week, but I'll go into the September market insights as to what I'm seeing. Here's what I will tell you, very Cliff Notes version up front from a sneak peek. September is almost as strong as last year's September, which I didn't see coming. October is as strong as last year October. And when you compare it versus the fall of 2019, it's up about 30%. My point being is if you feel like you've slowed down in the fall, you're on the highway going 60 when everybody's still going 80. So something you need to think about as it relates to your activities, but we'll get into the details as to what I'm seeing and what September shared with us and where I see the market going heading into really November, December, and then into 2022. Sound good? All right, sweet. Lindsay Vranick, I'm putting you right up front for a little bit of Tech Tuesdays. What do these guys need to know around building their database to 300 plus in 15 minutes or less?
Yeah, perfect. So you guys, why do I say 300? So if you've read the MREA, it states if you want to make 50 sales a year, you need to have 300 people in your Met database whom you set up through your 8x8 and your 33 touch program. So the easiest way to do this, you guys, is to start pulling those contacts from your phone. And so if you've met with me in the last probably few months, you may have already done this. If you don't have your contacts exported from your phone, this is what Tech Workshop is centered around. So it's not going to be a very long training, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, how to pull and get that CSV file so that you can scrub through that list, copy it into the command template and upload it into your database. We've been talking a lot about the 33 touch, the 36 touch, how many touches you want, how to set that up for 2022. And really, you guys, it's if you don't have your Met database into command in your database, this is the start. And so this is setting you up for success for the end of the fourth quarter into 2022. This is also a great opportunity because this is, if you're taking bold, this is going to set you up for bold because bold is going to center a lot around your database, touching your Met database, reaching out to them, making phone calls. And so if you don't have those contacts into command, if you're not setting them up on a quarterly call plan or something more structured to really poke you every single day to say, hey, you have to call these 10 people. This is the way to do that. So again, this is step number one. So if you're in and around the market centers this week, please stop by one of these tech trainings. It's the same today and in Tosa. And so I just kind of went through this on the screen. So this is really the four-step process with what we'll do during tech workshops this week. So exporting that file, importing into command. So tech workshop today in Tosa at 1 o'clock tomorrow at the North Shore. And then just make note of the time change on Thursday in Lake Country to accommodate for Bold. Bold is going to go until 11:30 on Thursday. And so we're pushing tech training to noon on Thursday in Lake Country. So I hope a lot of you can make it. Again, I think this is a really valuable opportunity to pull those contacts and to build your database even more. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Vranick, thank you. Guys, it's amazing to me how many times I talk to either internal agents or external agents, and I ask them, and we're talking about, I've asked a ton of questions about your database because it's the most profitable piece to your business, right? It costs you nothing to acquire it other than you investing in your brand and your reputation. And so often do I hear, hey, what's your database look like? Oh, it's really robust. It's like 1,000 people. Wow, that's a lot. Where do they live? They live right here on their phone. right? And the problem is there's no intentionality or purposeful way in which they touch their database because it's just sitting right here. And the only way they think about their database is when it's on top of their head, right? I've been challenging the group all year to automate, right? And the thing about automation is automation is the new leverage, okay? And leverage is always more work before it's less. So you need to invest your time, energy, and resources into setting up your leverage so that you have the ability to automate your database and your touch program. Because as Lindsay said, if you have a goal to close 50 deals, if you don't have 300 people in your database, there's no chance in heck you're going to be able to close 50 deals in a year. So you got to clean up your database, you got to automate it, and you got to create leverage within your business. Lindsay has a perfect way to help you pull all of your contacts out of your phone, get them into command, and set up your automation. Lindsay, you're a phenomenal resource. We thank you for everything you do. Sweet. All right, Joni Reed, give us, what do these guys need to know to stay out of trouble this week as it relates to compliance? Sheriff Reed.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm talking about compliance with condo sales. We've had some questions lately about especially the documents and what they are needed and how they are important to your transaction. The documents, the listed required documents are in the offer to purchase, the condo offer to purchase. And those are the ones that the seller is required to give to you, complete, current, and accurate copies of these disclosure materials. Now, you as your buyer's agent can also write in additional documents that you want from the seller. Most commonly is the recent association minutes, maybe going back 3 months or something. But if you read the condo offer carefully, it explains all of these details. And trust me, there are a lot of details. And because there are so many details and conditions concerning condominium documents is why we get into trouble sometimes with selling condos. You have to read the condo offer and make sure that your buyer client understands the condo offer. Now, the benefit of buying a condo is that you have a 5-day rescission, 5 business day rescission with these documents. A lot of times, if you're not selling condos very often, you forget about this. You forget the number of days. You forget that it's business days and not actual days. And you are missing the actual benefit that a buyer has when buying a condo. This was started in the very beginning with condos when it just gave the buyer an escape route. But it's still there and you are still to be aware of it if you're the buyer's agent. So if you go to the next one, Charlie. These are the required documents. As I said, they're listed in the offer to purchase 107 to 121. It's a lot of blah, 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 and it's a lot of detail, but the last one is the most important one, which is the executive summary. And what it does is summarize all of what is in all of the pages of a decks and bylaws package from a condo. If a condo is under 12 units or under, it does not require an executive summary. So don't be saying that you need the executive summary if it is a smaller building. So we go to the next one. As I said, there are 5 business days. If you're going to sell condos, keep that locked in your mind because it is a consumer benefit to your buyer. They may at any time within 5 days following receipt of all the documents, and that means all the required ones, plus any other documents that you put in your contract. When all of those have been received by your buyer, then your buyer has 5 business days to decide whether they want to buy this condo or not. Maybe there are things in the documents or executive summary that they don't like. Maybe they're just now realizing that there's only 1 parking space or that they can't have their dogs or whatever. But those 5 days are important for you to guide your buyer to really carefully read what it's going to be like to live in this condo. by giving the rescission notice, you put it on a notice. It has to be written. It has to be signed by your buyer. It doesn't have to give a reason. You don't have to send a camera with it. There's no liability. You just send the notice and saying we're out due to the taking advantage of the 5-day rescission thing. Now, this is a little twist, something that I learned just recently when I was covering delivery of documents. Many listing agents now are putting the condo materials in MLS under documents. And if you are going to show a condo, or maybe you've already shown it and the buyer is interested, you might go into documents and pull those materials out of MLS. That is considered receipt of the documents, especially if it's all of them. And the 5 business days start counting from that time, even if you haven't even written an offer. I had to call legal hotline to confirm this because it didn't sound right, but it is. I think I've even given the advice to the opposite, that no, you had to write an offer before you could get the documents delivered. But just keep that in mind. If you receive the documents and you notify the listing agent that you've received the documents, that's when your 5 business day rescission window starts counting. So keep that in mind. Next
So
one.
Joan, let me ask you a question. Would it behoove a listing agent, knowing that it's when the buyer receives it, wouldn't it help shorten the window in which a buyer would have the 5 days if they hadn't written an offer? Like, wouldn't it behoove a listing agent to have those documents in there right at the time of listing?
Sure, it's a benefit for the listing agent to get that 5 business rescission days over with quickly. So that's why I want you as buyer agents of condos to be aware of this. And the best practice as a buyer's agent, when you receive the documents, send a notice to the listing agent that you've received them. You acknowledge the fact that you have received the documents, and then you can officially start your clock. Because they don't know when you pulled it out of MLS. So that becomes a dispute time. Send a notice saying my buyer has now received these documents, all of them. If they have not received all of them, the buyer can ask for the missing ones. And then when the missing ones are delivered, then the 5 days start all over again. So it's complicated. It's all in the offer to purchase. Read it. And if you still don't understand it, give me a call. I'm happy to help. Okay, go to the next slide. These are where lawsuits have been born in this list of little things. So when you're writing on an offer, especially in some of the condos downtown, make sure that you verify each one of these. I wouldn't take just the word of the listing agent. I wouldn't take the word of the seller. If you're the listing agent, you should check with the association to make sure that these are right. Know where the parking space locations are, what the parking fee is. Lawsuits have been born out of just not having that verified. Parking may be a limited common element for the unit. It could be included as part of the unit, or it could be separately deeded. Make sure that you understand how that parking space is delivered to the buyer. Know where the storage units are, their location. Make sure that all the unpaid assessments are paid by the buyer no later than closing. That's a duty of you, of the listing agent, and that's going to be in their payoff when they close. Make sure if your buyer has FHA closing, that condo is eligible for FHA financing. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of time even writing an offer and then finding out that condominium cannot be eligible for FHA financing. A lot of times that's based on the percentage of rentals in that condo. If it's over 50%, they can't get FHA. A seller requests a copy of the documents from the association. There may be a fee to the seller to get those, and make sure that they get a current and new document decks and bylaws, because sometimes the sellers want to save the fee and they pass on their old 12-year disclosure materials. Okay, last one.
Real quick, Joan, one of the things I just do want to point out is
Sure.
because we've had a few instances in this past 12 months related to condos. Guys, one of the things I really want to point out is parking space locations and parking fees and storage unit spaces and storage unit locations. You need to make sure that you're verifying this in writing with all parties, because if you show a buyer where the parking spot is and it was not verified, and the buyer believes they're getting, let's say, spot A, what you show them in the showing, and then all of a sudden in the documents they get spot B, which is one spot over to the right. The buyers potentially, and we've seen this on several occasions this year, will sue you and your E&O because of misrepresentation, and then we have to settle for typically around $20,000 because we made a 6-foot error of which parking space we showed them. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of some of the things that can happen from inaccuracies as it relates to our duties and fiduciaries.
Duties are right. The other stir up that we can get with condos is over special assessments. It's all again in the condo in lines 544 to 557. Please read that. It does say very easily, if special assessments were levied for work actually commenced before an offer was written, before the date of the offer, that the seller has to pay those special assessment fees. If any special assessments are started or levied after the date of the offer, those fees have to be paid by the buyer. Now, in many cases, it's not that cut and dried. And so this last paragraph says, consider a special agreement if area assessments, property owners association assessments, condo association special assessments, other expenses, which is clarified in lines 551 to 557. Sometimes you have to negotiate. It's going to be like negotiating after an inspection. Who gives a little bit here, and the buyer gives a little bit here, and you're able to work it out. But sometimes these special assessments costs can be in the thousands and thousands of dollars, and it can be a deal breaker. So make sure that you're aware of those, find those out. That's why minutes to the meetings are important. But as I said, if it happens before the offer is written, the seller has to pay for it. If it happens after the offer, the buyer has to pay for it, but a lot of times it's not that cut and dried. So be very careful and understanding what special assessments can do to writing an offer. Condos are tricky, condos are hard. So make sure that you read the contract. And one last little thing. On October 1st, the WRA updated 4 forms. 2 of them are important probably to us. WB 25 is the bill of sale. There's not much of a change there, but a bill of sale is used to transfer ownership of a personal property to the buyer. A lot of times lenders now will not accept anything included in sale. They want you to take it out of there and put it on a bill of sale. It now has an effective date. It didn't have that before. Make sure you're using the bill of sale that's dated October 1 up in the upper left-hand corner, and they are all in zip form. The other one that you may be using is the WB 46, the multiple counter proposal. And we've been using a lot of multiple counter situations in this market. It's almost identical to the previous one, but make sure that you're using the correct one, October 1st, 2021. The other 2 are related to business with real estate and business without real estate. Those forms have changed. There's a lot of terminology changes in those forms. And if you're doing that kind of business, number 1, know what you're doing. And number 2, make sure you use the updated forms. So there's a legal update that was dated, the recent one dated August 2021. You can go into the WRA, find that legal update, especially if you're going to be using the business with real estate or business without real estate, to get all of the details, all the terminology changes in that. But just to be aware, knowing what you're doing. So
Sweet.
anything else, give me a call.
Jeff Reed, thank you for your insight, guys. We've spent a lot more time on compliance in these meetings the last several months, because here's what I know. The nature of the current market of the moment has gotten a lot more litigious, and that small little errors have led to pretty significant legal outcomes. And so we are doing our best, and I know it may be sometimes see dry or maybe redundant, but what we're literally doing is Joan, Kimmy, Steph, and I are meeting every Monday to talk about the things that we're seeing in contracts and situations that are coming up, because what we're trying to do is help you mitigate risk and mitigate your liability. And in this past year, there have been a lot more what I would call advantageous litigious situations that we're trying to help you stay away from or steer clear of. Sound good?
Yeah,
Cool. One
and-
other quick update. Yeah, go ahead,
Well,
Joni.
Josie just added a chat, which she's right. They put an appraisal contingency on these forms too, which is really smart.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Joni. Guys, one other quick update for you. Quick little family update. Kimmy Herbert had a beautiful little girl on Saturday evening. Her name is Addison Rose. So Kimmy will be on maternity leave between now and the end of the year, but no worries. Between Joni and Steph, we have the entire group covered. So feel free to shoot Kimmy a text, a note, send her some flowers with a new baby girl in their lives, in their second. So congrats to Kimmy. Cool. Last thing, guys, we are in the middle of GMA renewal dues. They are due November 30th. So please make sure that you guys are filling these out. We are tracking them, because if you are unable to pay your dues, we have to turn your license inactive. And there are several times where we come and find people who have significant sized businesses in January, and they come to us freaking out because their MLS has been turned off. And they are like, what happened? What happened? And we say, oh, you didn't pay your GMAR dues. And they're like, oh, shoot, I forgot about it. So be proactive as it relates to your dues. They're due this month, and between this month and next month. If you would, please send a confirmation to either Joan or Steph. Once you have them completed, we would sincerely appreciate it to help us make sure that we help people's licenses remain active. Cool. All right, I'm flipping it over to Wooten, who's got some upcoming trainings and events. Wooten, what do we got coming up in the month of October?
Good morning. So we are now in the second week of October, and there's still a lot of action-packed material for you guys. Starting off today at 10:30 with launch in person, Amanda and Nikki, they're going to be going through goal setting, specifically about getting into action for Q4 so that you can have a really successful 2022. Now is not the time to slip on lead gen. It's time to double down and really make your Q4 successful so that you can carry that momentum into next year. They're also going to be talking about the GPS, which stands for goals, priorities, and strategies. And if you've never used a GPS, I highly, highly recommend you attend launch coaching today. No productivity this week because the first step for Bold. I'm going to be putting a registration link in the comments for you guys. If you want to attend first step, it's free. For free. So please show up to the first step of Bold on Thursday, the 14th at Dandy. Even if it's the only Bold you attend this year, I promise you will walk away having learned something new. So please come to Bold. The next slide, Charlie, a couple of things for the rest of this month. On October 20th, we have Annie Stabler with Prepare for a Listing. If you want to sharpen your listing presentation skills and learn all the tips and tricks that Annie does to list high-end homes and sell them really quickly, please come join Annie Stabler. That will be available on Zoom. And then also, the next slide, the 20th and 21st, we have the MREA Business Planning Clinic with Jean Rivers. This is a 2-day event, both Wednesday and Thursday from noon to 4. We'll be streaming it live in each office. You can also just log on to KW Connect at the time and watch it from your home. It's completely free. It's going to be a great workshop, lots of goal setting and business planning for next year. And then I just wanted to recognize a couple more accelerator graduates that joined me a few weeks ago. So congratulations to Matthew, Eduardo, Paula, Nathan, and Duncan. These agents have shown that they are ready to jump into action and create some really, really big businesses. So help me congratulate all the newest accelerator graduates.
Wooten, thank you. Guys, I've reminded you many, many times, winter is coming, and are you prepared to take advantage of it? We've talked a little bit about this concept of right now we're in the middle of fall cleanup, And we're heading into the time of November. Once November hits, you're in winter renewal. Why? Because it's where the top agents shine. They bring people together to create connection to their brand and reputation, because separation is in the preparation, right? So that you can take advantage of spring and summer explosion. Here's what I know. If you miss the first quarter, you can't hit your annual goals. The truth is, because there's not enough business had in the fourth quarter for you to make it up for what you missed in the first quarter. Now, having said that, here's our last reminder as it relates to Bold. Here's what I'll tell you. 87 people have already registered. We only have 100 spots. There are 13 spots remaining, and I'm encouraging you, if you need to take advantage or you want to kick your butt in gear as it relates to starting 22 off strong, there are 13 spots left, and I want to make sure that our group is able to take advantage of it before any other market center in the state of Wisconsin, because we do have people joining us from Green Bay, Appleton, Madison, as well as down in New Berlin and Germantown. So 13 spots remaining. We look forward to an incredible class with Coach Darren Kittleson starting this week, Thursday. And then you can see the rest of the schedule here ending on December 9th. Any questions as it relates to Bold, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Mandy, Deej, Wooten. We're here to help you. But here's what I know. The 87 people who've already registered, I will tell you, they will see an automatic blip. And again, I talk about it all the time. Bold may not be for everybody, but here's what I know. You have to embrace the suck in order to see the results. All right. So Bold starting this week, Thursday. Looking forward to seeing, for those of you who've registered, at Bold this week, Thursday. All right. September 21. What happened? What do I know? And where do I think it's going? Ready, set, go. Here are your market insights from a macro level as what happened in September and what you need to know to help you have and create a meaningful dialogue with your buyers and sellers. Let's take a look. So in the month of September, here's what we see. A balanced market on a month of supply metric is 6 months of supply. What happened in the month of September of 2021 is we saw a blip of an increase, right? We've seen an increase beginning. May was the lowest it's been in recorded history in the last 30 years. Now it's up to 1.9 months of supply. That's a good news. The bad news to it, we're still down 49% where we saw it in September of 2019. Again, I'm going to be comparing September 2019 to September of 21 because we're now following seasonal historical sales cycles, despite the fact that September and October this year seem to be very, very elevated, but we'll talk about that in a sec because it's more of a rising tides lifts all ships type scenario, but we're starting to see activity start to hit the shoulder seasons. Okay. It's improving, but it remains depressed as it relates to month of supply. The irony is it's still very much a seller's market, as we've discussed. What you're starting to see is sellers are freaking out because they don't have 30 offers with $100,000 over asking. The reality is we just have more inventory to buyers to choose from, but demand isn't going away. Next, days on market. When you look at it, again, the good news here is days on market have increased nicely. If you look again, May of 2021, it was at 23 days. It's up to 32 days. When you compare it to September of 2019, it was at 46 days versus 32 days where we currently sit. Right now, days are selling, or homes on market are selling 32% faster than they were 2 years ago, right? So again, good news, bad news scenario. Good news is it's rising because it's helping alleviate some of those pressures within the market. Bad news is it still remains really, really depressed. When you look here across these lines, the lines that you'll see on all these slides is the 2-year historical average over the last 24 months. So you can see where we sit in September of 2021 versus the last 2-year historical average at around 43 days on market. So we're still sitting below the average for the last 2 years. Days on market's increasing, yet it still remains extremely low. Now, let's take a look at sales absorption. Sales absorption is the percentage of inventory that goes under contract. It's a true indication of demand. Again, good news, bad news scenario. Good news, well, it's not really bad news really at all. The great news is almost 33% of the inventory went under contract in September of 2021. When you look at it in September of 2019, we're at 21% of the inventory went under contract in that given month. So what do I take away from this? September 2021 was on par with peak selling season of 2020 and 40% higher than the peak of 2019. Again, as we look at demand metrics across the macro economy, Buyer demand remains incredibly strong in the marketplace. This is very good news for our sellers. We need to make sure that we're having proactive strategic conversations with our sellers to right size their expectations when they come to the market. Now, looking ahead to units under contract, a 2-year view. In the month of September, we had 2,549 units that went under contract. This is a 25% increase over September of 2019. Now, when you compare it versus September of 2020, September of 2020 was 2,620 units that went under contract. My point being is units that went under contract in the month of September of this year versus units that went under contract versus last year, I wasn't sure if we would be able to hurdle last year's numbers, and it was on par with last year's numbers. What this tells me is looking ahead to future, September obviously happened. October that we're in now, I'm predicting October of this year to be on par with last year. And I'm probably foreseeing that November and December should have very similar results as you future look into where the business is going. Now, similar results, but we also have to understand that we're starting to hit the shoulder season, and the shoulder season is when activity starts to slow down. So last year, September, October, November, December were historically incredible months. I just think we'll be flat to last year or just a tick down, which I wasn't sure we were going to be able to get to. But that tells me the tide within the market is still very, very high, if that makes sense. And when you compare it to 2019, it's about a 25% increase over 2019. So fall is still a very, very active market. Now, closed units. Closed units in the month of September of 2021 was 2,643 units. It was a 19% increase versus September of 2019. And again, if you look at September of 2020, that's comparing of 2,849 units on a closed sales units. We were only off across the entire market by about 200 units, right? September 2021 had the 4th highest closed units of the year so far, and it was just slightly behind September 2020. Again, the tide remains really, really high. It's receding slightly, but when you compare it against historical averages, still remains really, really strong. Now, new inventory, what's coming up and what are we seeing? Now we're starting to see the shoulder within the market. Again, good news, bad news. Good news is September of 2021 was about on par with where we were in September of 2019 of new inventory that came to the market. If you recall over the last several months, September from a new inventory perspective, or sorry, not September, but from the last couple months, we had been slightly behind where that we had been in 2019 as it relates to new inventory. So the good news is we're starting to catch up to historical averages of what new inventory is coming to the market. But again, we're starting to hit the shoulder seasons within real estate. And I expect this number to be even decreased slightly as we head into October, November, December. And December and January is typically when we see the bottom of the shoulder season before February, when we start to see the spike heading back into the peak selling seasons as it relates to inventory. Now, when you look at expired inventory, a couple things to point out here. So expireds are down 14% versus September 2019. However, yet in the month of September, we saw the highest number of expireds in the entire calendar year so far in 2021. What do I think this is? It's twofold. One, if you focus on FSBOs or expireds, it's a great time to be calling your FSBOs and expireds that you see across the marketplace. The second thing that I truly believe is sellers are now quicker to pull the trigger on their listing agents if they're not happy with the strategy that's been employed. And I think part of the reason why that is that agents aren't doing a good enough job in being proactive in their communication with their clients in terms of their strategy and what's going on in the marketplace to set and right size expectations, because people still believe their homes are overvalued and they're going to sell faster than they actually are. Good news is demand still remains really, really high. Just have a really airtight strategy and you'll be totally fine. Total inventory, again, good news, bad news is it's rising. It always rises at this time of year in the fall. The bad news is we saw a little bit of a dip from August. In August, we saw roughly 8,300 total inventory units on the marketplace. And in September, we're sitting around 8,100. What does this mean, or what's the takeaway here? Units are actually going under contract faster than, and it's outpacing new inventory coming to the marketplace. So while we had been building really since the first of the year trying to play catch up from where we were in all of 2020. And all the buyer activity that went on in 21, we still have a ways to go to get the inventory levels back on par. And hopefully, as we continue to see people get more comfortable bringing their homes to the marketplace, we should hopefully start to see a little bit more of a catch up here as we head into spring of 2022 selling season. So my prediction here is that I think inventory will start to elevate here heading into the winter, which I actually think will help us right size the marketplace as we head into spring. Although I think spring will be better than what it was last year. Remember, May of 21 last year was one of the worst the fewest amount of inventory units recorded in residential real estate in southeastern Wisconsin. Cool. All right, there's my market update for you. What's my word or advice now? What I know, listen, buyer demand remains incredibly strong still. Listing agents, you just need to be really proactive with your strategies and your pricing to make sure that you're talking proactively with your sellers so that you don't get the quick trigger or the quick pull, knowing that expireds are increasing slightly within the marketplace. And I truly believe it's because listing agents need to be more proactive in their communication as to what's going on, but there's no need to worry as if the market is softening. It's just inventory is catching up, so buyers have more options. It's simply becoming just less competitive, but the deals are happening at a very similar pace or very similar rate. Lastly, the last two things I'll touch on from a pricing standpoint, here's what you need to know. When you look at it, I look at the average and the median. The average is up 21% versus September of 19. The median is up 18%, okay? It's impacts simply of supply and demand, which means that pricing is continuing to appreciate. Your sellers that are coming on the market that feel like they missed their opportunity because they didn't list in May or June, listen, you're fine. Prices are still appreciating at around 20%. You have nothing to worry about. When you look at it from a price per square foot standpoint, also up 19%. You look at price per square foot because it's a static measure of pricing. Again, it's the true indication of appreciation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're worried about timing. You have nothing to worry about. We're still up about 20% organic appreciation within the marketplace as it relates to price. Sound good? Guys, all of this stuff as it relates to all of these metrics that we look at, I'll be sending out, or Deej will be sending out this afternoon as it relates to the Insights and Resources weekly email. Make sure to check it out. And if you have any questions or you need clarifying points, don't hesitate to shoot me a note and I'm happy to jump on a call or shoot you an email reply as to what's going on. I've had several agents that have utilized this data to help talk a seller off the ledge to keep a listing. So if you need help in just putting this, essentially boiling these points down as to current situation with a listing or trying to win a listing, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help. All right, lower report, what's going on within the marketplace and our peer groups. So as a reminder, the market is deceptive. It's humbling. Great markets don't last, great agents do. And you're not in it to have a great year. You're in it to build a great career. Here's where we're at. When you look across the top 10 brokerages so far, those that are success is outpacing the market average. Right now in closed volume through September, the MLS on closed volume is up 19%. Those people, agents, teams, brokerages that are outpacing plus 19% are taking share within the marketplace. Here, again, we'll make sure we send this out to the group, is the breakdown across the entire marketplace as it relates to brokerage activity within the marketplace and market share within the southeastern Wisconsin market. Great news is, again, guys, our results are a reflection of your results and what you guys are doing to drive and take market share within your business. Congrats on an absolutely killer year. Now, when you break it down by office location, and again, I tried to streamline this so you can see that a lot of people are robbing Peter to pay Paul as it relates to market share by location. The innovation crew up 117% on the rolling 12 months, the 29th largest office now in the MLS. The Prestige crew up in Germantown, up the 24th largest office in the MLS, up 50%. Both of these offices only started 18 months ago. Incredible, incredible results. KW Lake Country is now the 4th largest office in the MLS on a rolling 12 months. It's up 37%. Congrats to that crew. The Southwest office down in New Berlin, the second largest office in the MLS, up 41% on the rolling 12 months. And the North Shore crew continues to absolutely chug away. The number one office in the Metro MLS, up 35% on a rolling 12 months. Guys, again, these results are a reflection of your results. It's everything you guys have done to take market share within the business, and we congratulate you on everything you've done. When you look at it from a lower report, again, success is outpacing the market average. When you look at it from a North Shore perspective versus the Metro MLS, again, the thing that I think that we all should be looking at within your business is your lead metrics. Too many agents measure their business by the lag metrics. What do I mean by that? Lag metrics are closed units, closed volume, and GCI. That is a correlation to all the activities you did over the last 6 to 9 months in order to earn that statistic. But what I look at is everything you're doing now to earn the statistics for the future, which leads to future incomes to help you make it through the winter. What do I really think is incredible? Listings taken units from a KW perspective in North Shore up 31% when the market's up 6%. Contracts written units up 37%. Contracts written units for the market up 6%. Incredible stuff. You're future pacing your business and protecting yourself as you head into winter. Here's where you can see versus the peers within the North Shore and where everybody sits so far on a rolling 12-week trend basis across the North Shore brokers. Again, success is outpacing your peers. Now, jumping over to the Lake Country crew, same thing. You can see absolutely incredible results. The two that I want to point out, the lead metrics that absolutely help you control market share, control your income, and future pace your business. Listings taken units up 64% versus the peer group up 6%. Contracts written units on the buyer side up 70% in Lake Country when the Metro MLS is only up 6%. Again, the market gives you volume, agents control their units. When you compare it versus the peer group, again, between First Weber, Delafield, and KW Lake Country, they're duking it out for number one or number two in the Lake Country marketplace. In September of 2021, on a rolling 12-month basis, KW Lake Country is the number one broker on the last 12 months in the Lake Country marketplace. Again, you can see the trend and growth trajectory of this location with incredible people who are absolutely killing it. And then you can see here the peer group as it relates to trends as well. Lastly, let's take a look at Tosa, Elm Grove, Brookfield. I'm super stoked for this crew. Look at what they've done. We opened this office in January of 2020, well, really April 1st of 2020. When everybody was staying home, we took space in North Ave, and all of a sudden we just kept chipping away. And then we took space, a bigger space, in Innovation Drive. If you haven't checked it out, I encourage you to do so. It's a great space. But you can see the market trends within the Tosa, Elm Grove, Brookfield market versus our peer group has been absolutely incredible in following very similar trajectories of all our other locations. Again, guys, this is all a reflection of your results, has nothing to do with KW. We're blessed to be in business with all of you and serve you at the highest level. And our job and duty is to remove friction from your business in order for you guys to continue your momentum. Last two things as it relates to lore, some absolutely incredible numbers. In the month of September, we paid out $4.8 million in gross commission incomes. It was a 3% increase versus September 2021. Now, remind you, the market was down slightly this year versus last year, right? I talked, it was about even, so that the fact that we grew GCI amongst this group by 3% when the market was slightly down because we had tough comps. And I've been talking about this all year. The fall is going to be tough comps for everybody's business. So don't freak out if you look at your business in the fall and think you're way down, because when you compare yourself versus your spring, you're way up. So you got to spread that out and look at it on an annual basis. From a year-to-date perspective, we've paid out $42.8 million in gross commission incomes. It's a 32% increase this year versus last year. And last year was one of the best residential real estate markets in history. Guys, it's incredible stuff. You guys are earning absolutely incredible incomes for you and your family. And remember, money is only good for the good it can do for others. So don't get caught in the trap of chasing a number. Focus on what you can do to provide for you and for yours. Lastly, one other thing I want to talk about, profit share. So in the month of September, we will be paying out $62,000 in profit share in the month of September. Is a 47% larger payout than what we paid out in August of this year. And it brings our year-to-date total of $828,000, which is a 41% increase this year versus last year, right? Guys, check your bank accounts for your September profit share deposits on October 21st, because there is some massive money being shared to this group for those that are participating in profit share. And guess what? If you're not participating, it's never too late. Awesome. We're going to wrap it up, guys, with some awards and results. Why? Because all this stuff that we talked about is a direct reflection of everything you guys have done. And so we're going to kick it off with the Lake Country crew with awards and results for September of 21. Here we go.
You guys, here we go. This is so exciting. The numbers are exciting. I don't know if y'all heard, but my little room erupted here because of all of the great work that's happening. Can't be more excited about this. And here's some individuals who we want to recognize. $1 Million Month Club, Mike Legend, Annie Stabler leading the list here. We've got Katie Montalbano. Some of our teams are showing up, no surprise. Sayers Group on here too. You guys, great work. Home Run Club, 1 listing taken, 1 contract written, 1 contract closed in the month. So we've got some of those lead and lag metrics in here. Connie Cummings, Deb DeFair, Frank Cinto, Jen Smith, Robert Carruthers. You guys, this is great work here. So I just want to hats off to you guys. If your name is not on here and you wanted to be on here, talk to these people. They are sharing how they did it. Double down on your business, focus on what you can do, and your name can be up here too. Super excited about all of this. Individual awards, September agent volume, Mike Legend and Annie Stabler leading the list again. Love that for both of you. Laura's on here, Toka's Attic coming up, Katie Montalbano and Gabby Borowski, our top 5 here. Super excited about that. Year-to-date agent volume, Annie Stabler. You guys, Annie's doing that training on listings. Her business is up 90% this year. So over last 12 months, you want to learn how she's doing it, how she's landing on this list. Come check out her training. It's coming up in the next week or so. John Lorenz showing up on this list as well for us year to date, knocking it out of the park. Katie and Connie rounding out the bottom. We talk a lot. You guys control your units. Here we go. 25, John Lorenz, Nikki Kunick, 22, Robin McCormick, 17, Connie, Annie, 17, 16, and Jen Smith rounding out at 16. So congratulations, everybody. Love it. And team volume, Gallagher Lake Country, September team volume, 14.9 million in September, right? Team Trimble, 6 million, Klasky Realty Team, 1.6, Bark River and Sayers also at 1 million. Congratulations on that. Love that. Year-to-date team volume, Gallagher Lake Country leading the pack at 56.8 million. And then Team Trimble, our very own, 37.6, Cluster Property Group, Klasky Realty and Bark River, rounding out the last 3 there for us. Year-to-date volume, Cluster Property Group, 72. Hats off, ladies, great work. And Jason. Team Trimble, 55. You can see the rest there. And hats off to you guys, great work. Love seeing these results. Congratulations, love it.
Sweet. Guys, these are the results of, you talk about absolute growth, and you would talk about what Lake Country has done to take market share in a very short amount of time, when a lot of people doubted it in the ability to do so. And I just big shout out to many people who are seeing massive results in 2021. All right, flipping it over to the North Shore crew, $1 Million Month Club in the month of September. A great group of folks you can see here. Couple shout outs to a few people. Casey Lopez, first year in the business, absolutely crushing it. I think she did $6 million in the month of September alone. Lico Homes with Paula and Eduardo, congrats. Marcus Auerbach, Molly Triggs, Fetting, Sarah Oberbrunner, Stephanie Miller, Stephanie Minnick, Tammy Herpel, the Nicollet Group, the Zeman Group. Guys, congrats on $1 Million Month Club in the month of September. Now, Home Run Club, in my opinion, this is the list that matters the most. Why? Because it means you got paid in September, and you're going to get paid again in October and November, because you took 1 listing taken, 1 contract written, 1 contract closed. Handful of people to shout out. Big shout out to Abby Wall, just coming out of maternity leave, absolutely jumping back in. Elena Zeman, Andrea Carvello, Annie Jerzik, Corey Double Bolt, Gail Zeman, George Follier, Ginger Lazovic, Guy Nicolette, Jana Harburg, great to see you back on this list. John McLaren, Mr. Camp Minikani, newbie, Casey Lopez again, Spinty getting back in the game in the month of September, Pam Cooper, right? Sarah Monday, Sophia Berry, Steve, Sticky Steve Strickland, Tammy Herpel, the Wilds, Dan Wild's birthday. Shout out to Dan Wild, who turned 44 yesterday. All right, here we go. Month of September, individual volume. Molitor just killing it and slaying the game as he does usually. Molitor leading the way for individual agents at 2 million. Nick Fetting on his heels at 1.8. Newbie, 1.7. Oberbrunner, Sophia Berry, Doreen Drummel coming in hot to the KW world. Betsy Williamson, brand new this year. Tammy Herpel, Danny Noonan, and Dave G rounding out the top 10 for September individual. You can see individual units here year to date. Again, agents control their units. The market gives you volume. Congrats to the top 10 individual year to date. And here is the breakdown for individual agents so far year to date for individual volume. Big shout out again, Sophia Berry, 6.7 million. Joey Carini up 50% so far this year. Alyssa Burkhoff, Carla Florence, Julie Licken rounded out the top 10. Here you go, September team volume, JSG leading the pack, 20.5 million in the month of September, guys. I know Jay came out to Lake Country last week to give his listing presentation and talk about CMAs and comps. So if you missed it, don't miss it when he's on the calendar, guys. These guys are up to something special. Same thing, Falk Groove and Gallagher having a great month, almost 10 million in closed volume. SRG rounding up the top 3. And then again, what I consider to be the tightest, most competitive marketplace is spots 3 through 7. On Point, Duval, A Key Home, Destiny's team, the Zeman Group, Nicollet Group, and Champagne Realty closing out the top 10 for the month of September. Year-to-date volume, JSG leading the way with 351 units closed so far year-to-date. And you can see the rest of the top 10. KCN doing a great job at 62, On Point at 68, Double Bolt Realty at 52, guys. Congrats on incredible so far year to date. And then wrapping it up, year to date volume so far through September. You can see here the top 10 teams. Interestingly enough, guys, the number 1, the number 2, and the number 4 teams in all the MLS. And then you combine that with Bruce Gallagher, Lake Country, and Team Trimble. Right there, those 5 teams make up 5 of the top 10 teams in all the Metro MLS. Your business will grow to the extent that you do. You will grow to the extent of those whom you surround yourself with. Think about who you're surrounding yourself with or who you're learning from in order to grow your business heading into 2022. Big shout out to the Zeman team who made a transition this year, and their business is absolutely on fire, up to 15.5, and the Nicollet Group rounding out the top 10 at 15.2. Also, one other shout out, big shout out to Dusty's team, Dusty, Ellen, Connie, Kayla, whose business is up almost 45% so far year to date, 2021. Guys, there you go. There's the macro level statistics. There's the lore report. There's our awards and results for the month of September. We will wrap all of this up and send it out to you guys this afternoon. Guys, thanks for jumping on the call. And if there's anything you need that we can help you remove friction or help you take market share as we finish out the year strong or heading into 2022, don't hesitate to reach out because we're here to serve. Guys, have a phenomenal day. Mandy, I'll flip it over to you to lead the new listings, and Lake Country crew, I'll flip over to your Lake Country meetup. Guys, have a great day. Be great.
Be great. I love it.